Hi everyone, it's Plastic EP coming in from Melbourne, Australia. Let me tell you, I've got a very special guest. I've got John McEUEN, founding member of the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. And I'd just like to thank Bob Evans and Donna from Eastside Global Rock for organising the interview. And I just want to welcome you to the show. John, how are you?
Thank you. I'm having a good time here in Portugal. It's where I'm visiting.
You're a founding member of the Nitty Gritty Band, Dirt Band. And I mean, what a fantastic name that was.
In 1966, the group was coming together, and one guy said, "Let's call it the Dirt Band," because we needed a name for the group. And another guy said, I thought we should call it Nitty Gritty Band." And they said together, "Well, let's call it Nitty Gritty Dirt Band." And okay, that's how long it took. And that explains a quick happening in 1966 that was going to last for almost 60 years. I was there for 50 years. And at the end of the 50th year tour, we did a 50th year anniversary tour. That's when I said, "See you guys later. I'm going off on my own."
Were you 17 years old when you joined?
No, I was 20 years old. Les was 17.
Okay.
Les was the guy that called me in 1966 and asked me, Les Thompson. He says, "I'm starting a new band. Why don't you come listen to us and see if you want to be part of it?" And I did. And I I had him back me up at a banjo contest in LA, and I won. So I figured, okay, this group's good enough for me. I won the contest. And it's the only contest I ever entered. But why bother when you win? So why win another one? We started playing then. That was in July of 1966.
And now you're what, high school friends with Steve Martin, who became a comedian, but he was a good banjo player too. You taught him as well, yeah?
Neither one of us played the banjo when we got our dream job at 16 years old in Disneyland, California. And we were trying to get a job in the magic shop, and we got it the same day. They hired both of us, and he worked in Fantasyland Magic Shop, and I worked on Main Street. I thought it was appropriate that he was in Fantasyland, but I worked up there sometimes, and we had a great time. We did that for 3 years, and about a year and a half into it, music came along, and I started playing music at 17 and a half. I heard the group called the Dillards. The Dillards, that's great music. Oh no, I've got to get me a banjo, and I got to anyway. That's kind of started me off on the path. I've been playing guitar for 6 months with my brother, and now I played the banjo with him, and I was 17 and a half, 18 years old.
Now I've got to ask you with your brother William, how did he come about that he managed the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band?
Well, I joined the band in July of 66, and August went by and September came around, and I said, "Bill, would you manage this group?" I didn't know what a manager was. He wasn't sure himself, but he was 5 years older and was managing another group, and nobody knew anything then. You know, we were a group of teenagers, Southern California hippies. We only knew 14 songs at the time. He got us a record deal. We made an album and recorded 12 of the songs.
What was the feeling when the album was released? I mean, that feeling, what was that like?
We'd been together for 7 months. I'm driving down Sunset Boulevard at 1 in the morning. The first single comes on the radio. Here's a new song by a new group, the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. And Bye For Me the Rain started. And it was incredible. It's a feeling that I still get today whenever I hear my music on the radio.
You met Mike Nesmith before he became a monkey. Tell me that. Tell me about Mike Nesmith and and yourself.
Well, Mike Nesmith was playing around LA, and everybody knew his mother invented whiteout,
Yep.
the whiteout typing thing.
Yep.
And he we knew he didn't need to work for food.
All right.
He had plenty of money. And he was emceeing the Hootenanny at the Troubadour on Monday nights. He made $15 a night to do that. He put my brother and me on one time.
That's great.
And he was just a guy that was kind of a few years older. He wrote songs. He was a mysterious character. And it was really exciting because he wrote great songs, like Her Name Was Joanne
Yeah.
and some of Shelley's Blues that we ended up recording. And Propinquity we ended up recording. He was a really good, great songwriter.
What did you think of him singing What Am I Doing Hanging Around? Because that's a fantastic blues country song.
Well, it was one of the first times that somebody I knew, which was Michael Murphy, he found that song and was doing it, and I thought that's really a cool song. And that was I think I played on that a few times with him. I played with Michael Murphy for 6 months, no, for 4 months before the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band.
It's amazing.
Before the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band was Michael Murphy, and then there was a pause, and before Michael Murphy, there was a group called the Wilmore City Moonshiners, which was me and Les Thompson from the Dirt Band and two other guys. Then Michael Murphy, and then the Dirt Band. Les called me up and said, "Come join this group now." And Michael was working with another guy, and they called it the Texas Twosome.
Yep.
And we did a bunch of songs, but he didn't. Twosome and four people in the band didn't quite make sense, so that didn't last very long. I ended up playing on four of his albums. I played with him last month in Tennessee.
Tell me a bit about Jackson Brown.
Well, he wasn't really in the band. Two of the guys that were founding members, and they're still there, they had Jackson sit in with them.
Okay.
Jackson never, he's asked me before, I wasn't in the Dirt Band, was I? You guys just backed me up. And yeah, he needed somebody to back him up playing his songs. And there was nobody around, the very few musicians. There was just nobody was into doing it. It's not like it is now. There were people, but they were at the clubs. He was at the club. The Dirt Band was at the club. They got together. They played some songs. He did 5 shows, maybe 6, with the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. It's not on his website that says he was part of the group. He never received a check, money. He wasn't in any publicity pictures. Let's see. He wasn't on any recordings because we got together, the 6 of us. We made our first album. My brother was managing. Jackson was already history. He was only there for 5 shows. Now, a couple of the guys, when Jackson got popular and started getting famous with Dr. My Eyes, a couple of the guys in the band would say, Jackson Brown was in the Dirt Band. John replaced him. I didn't replace him.
Right. That's a
I
good
came
rumor.
along. I came along after he left. The involvement, in fact, sitting in a club, that reminds me, in 1966, I was
Yep.
sitting in this club dressing room, this little bitty dressing room, and Jackson comes in from the parking lot and says, "Hey, John, let me play you this song." And he plays it, and I said, "That's really good. Where'd you get those words?" He goes, "I wrote them." "Well, where'd you get the music?" "Well, I just made it up." He was 17 years old. I didn't think you could write your own song, a whole complete song at that time. It was, and the song was, "Well, I've been out walking these days. I don't do too much talking these days." It became a standard of the era. And he went out on stage that night and did it. People loved it. And he says, I think I'm going to record that if I ever get a record deal. He was 3 years away from having an album deal then, 3 years in the future.
I've got to ask you about Linda Ronstadt if I can. Everyone here in Australia are big fans of the Nitty Gritty band, but also big fans of Linda Ronstadt. Tell me about her if you can.
She is a wonderful person.
Yeah.
She's never been one of those women that does, hey, look at this. I was in my book. I have a book where I wrote about my life. It's called
Yep.
The Life I've Picked. And I had to call Linda and ask her a question because it used to be rumored that she didn't wear underwear. And people at the Troubadour would sit up close to the stage because she didn't wear underwear. And she goes, "That's ridiculous. Of course I wore underwear. My mother made them. My mother made my panties. I wore them and I thought that was really cute. Her mother made her panties and she wore them. One time she was recording and I was stopped by the session to see what was going on. And I'm sitting out in the vocal booth
Yeah.
on the floor with headphones on. And she comes out and says, I've got to do a vocal on this next song. And I handed her the headphones. I said, "Oh, here you go. That's okay. I'll leave." She goes, "No, stay here. I'll sing it to you. I'll sing to you." And so I'm sitting on the floor as she sings, Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow? I can still remember that. It was so good. We went in and listened after she did the vocal, one take, and she knocked it out. Will you still love me tomorrow?
What about Different Drum, the Mike Nesmith song she recorded with the
I
Stone
didn't
Ponies?
really, I didn't really know her then.
Okay.
I'd seen her, and she was, oh, there's Linda. Hi, Linda. It was like she was hanging around the Troubadour and maybe someplace else in LA or whatever. But Different Drum was a wonderful song that gave her a career. It didn't give her enough money because she was still sharing an apartment with a girl when it was a hit. She would go out on the road to do a job. She'd get $5,000. Her band would charge her 300 apiece times five, 1,500. Then there was a manager, then an agent, and then hotels and airfares. And at the end of the $5,000, her part would be maybe $75. She wasn't making any money when she had the hit.
How do you feel that you're in that time zone at that time when everything was coming out and you were part of it in 66 and so forth going through? It must have been an amazing time there.
It was an amazing time, and I feel like everybody was part of it. I was just watching and writing down things and keeping track. Like Kenny Loggins, I recorded a demo with 5 songs of his in my house in Laurel Canyon. I had a 2-track tape recorder, a little mixer, 6 channels, and I set up 3 microphones to record Kenny,
Yep.
and I recorded House at Pooh Corner and Prodigal's Return and Yukon Railroad, and because he hadn't been recorded before. This was his first recording, according to him. And I recorded Danny's song, Even Though We Ain't Got Money. You know that song?
Yep.
Yeah, everybody knows it. And we ended up doing 4 songs out of the ones I recorded. I could not get Jeff Hanna to sing Danny's song. He's too much of a hippie song. I don't like it, but I think it's a hit. It's a hit. Like Pooh Corner's a hit. It's Danny's song. I don't know. It's just, I wanted to choke him. But you can't make somebody sing a song they don't want to sing if you're in a group like that. So we didn't do it. We did the other 4, and that was good. Kenny has always been very happy that I got him on his first recordings. We're going to put out House of Pooh Corner as a
Yep.
single, and the record company got a call from the Disney company
Yep.
saying, "You cannot put out that Winnie the Pooh song. We own the rights to Winnie the Pooh." And the record company called me, and I said, "Oh, I'll have to tell Kenny. Hello, Kenny. The record company told me we can't put out House of Pooh Corner because Disney owns the rights and they don't want to release them," which is bullshit. Which because you could do that, but anyway. And we're talking about it, and his girlfriend says, "What's wrong, Kenny?" Well, they said that the record company can't put out House of Pooh Corner because Disney owns the rights to it and they won't let them. And the girlfriend goes, "Well, I'm going to call my daddy." And he says, "Well, who's your daddy? What's he do?" "Well, he's the CEO of Disney." And she called her daddy. The next day, the record company said, "Go ahead." That's the way it worked back then.
Unbelievable.
And so that was incredible. That was our fifth album, by the way, album number five. 2, 3, 4, 5. Four had gone by, and we were making our fifth album, and that's the one that had Mr. Bojangles, Michael Nesmith's song "Some of Shelley's Blues,"
Yeah.
and House of Pooh Corner, and that put us up to 1971. And that's what led to the Circle Be Unbroken album.
Now, I've got to ask you, John, about winning a Grammy Award, right, for some sessions that you did. Can you explain all that to everyone out there?
If you're talking about the Steve Martin album,
Yep.
well, I was living in New York City. Steve called me and said, "Hey, can you come over and listen to some banjo music?" And I went, "Sure, I'll be right over." I go over to his house. He played me 5 songs from his tape deck,
Yep.
his Macintosh. And it was just the banjo,
Yep.
just his banjo. And I said, "I think those are great. They're songs that he had written. And I want to do an album on you, Steve. I want to produce the record." He said, "Okay." And he was asking about what other songs he should have on it. And he wanted to record a couple of old bluegrass. I said, "No, it should be all your music." "Well, I don't have enough songs." "Well, you should write a couple more. You've got these, write a couple more." So we started working on it. And we ended up making The Crow, which is what he called it, new songs for the 5-string banjo. And as I was producing, I kept telling him, "This is really good. This is going to be nominated for a Grammy." You never know if you're going to win,
Yep.
but you kind of feel like you can get nominated. Because I had gotten Vince Gill and Earl Scruggs,
Yep.
people I knew, and Mary Black, whom I didn't know. I called her on the phone and said, "Mary, can you do this?" And she wanted to do it. We did it in Dublin. And a bunch of other fine players. And Steve was so insecure. He goes, "No, no, you just, whatever." "No, Steve, it's really good music. Believe me, the Grammys are not going to take into consideration that Steve Martin. That means nothing to them, but it will mean they will listen. The combination of people you put on there, Stuart Duncan, one of the world's best fiddle players, just different players that were on there. Tim O'Brien singing, Daddy played the banjo. Gary Scruggs helps." I said, "Steve, you need somebody to help you write Daddy played the banjo." And I suggest Gary Scruggs, Earl's son. "Okay, have him call me." So he did. And anyway, it all just came together. It got nominated and it won. Hooray.
Unbelievable. Can I ask you about the King Tut song? Was that part of that?
No, no. King Tut came along in 1977. The Nitty Gritty Dirt Band was playing Dorothy Chandler Pavilion in LA, the Carnegie Hall of LA. Sold out, a good night. Steve was coming to sit in, do a couple of songs, and he had this new song he wanted us to do. And he taught it to us that in the dressing room. "Here, you go to King Tut when I sing, and then you go doom 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 King Tut doom doom on the bass, and then you go." And he could just describe what he wanted. We did it, and it blew the room away. The 2,500 people, they were just shocked. It was, you had all the moves, and it was really funny. It was, when I was a young man, it's just really. And then a week later, we were in Aspen, and my brother had a studio he'd built up there, and he put together the Dirt Band and a couple other players, and we recorded King Tut. In 7 hours, he recorded it, mixed it, and mastered it. It was done. And then he wanted the record company to release it. And we don't put out comedy records as singles. So he made acetates, 20 of them, and sent them to the major stations in America, BCN in Boston, Quixie in Atlanta, WQ, and LS in Chicago. And they were playing this acetate. You know what an acetate is?
Yeah.
You know, the people listening may not.
Yeah, it's like a test pressing.
It's a vinyl record that you can,
Yep.
I'm not vinyl, it's an acetate record that you can play about 20 times.
Yep.
And these stations were playing it right out of the box. We mailed it to them, and they went, okay, we're going to play that. This is Steve Martin. He's hot. And they called up the record company and says, how's that King Tut record selling? King Tut? We don't have a record on that. Well, no, he's with Warner Brothers. Yeah, well, you better get it. Anyway, they were forced to put out a single that they didn't want to do, and it did 1.5 million units.
And a great song, a great, fantastic song.
You know, it is, and it continues to be popular. Steve was really a perfect person for catching a wave or a feeling or a moment in time, or having a comment to say about something. Like when George Bush and Albert Gore were running against each other for president, Johnny Carson asked him, Steve, you don't have a lot to say about politics. What do you think about the current presidential race? And he goes, oh, Johnny, it's just like a Hollywood movie, a horror movie. It's a lot of Bush and Gore.
A favorite song that's a video by the Nitty Gritty Band. What is your actual favorite song? Have you got a favorite?
I did a video on a song called Miner's Night Out. It's on YouTube, MINERS, Night Out. And that's my favorite video because, well, I wrote it. I wrote the song. I wrote the script for the video. I hired the people in the town. I raised the money. I had a crane shot. I'm in Deadwood, South Dakota, and I spent $1,100 to hire a crane because you can't make a movie look like a movie without a crane.
Yep.
You know, without that camera going up over this way or going that way. So that's my favorite video. The Dirt Band did some music videos, and they were country music videos. Some of them were okay, but they're standing there playing a song. We would just stand there and, okay. Out of those, I would say Partners, Brothers, and Friends was a good one.
Hey, guys.
All right, let's go.
It's about time. Hey, I'm a little bit late, so...
You know what, Johnny's not here now.
Yeah, that's all right. We can get started without him, I think.
All right.
The promoter says he wants to cancel 'cause there ain't enough tickets sold. The air conditioner on the bus is broke, and I can't shake this cold. The single lost the bullet. The singer's losing his wife. Well, I might be crazy, but it wouldn't change a thing. single thing about this life. Sometimes we feel like champions, sometimes we just can't win. Sometimes our record's at the top of the charts or the discount bargain bins. Through almost 20 years of touring, we remain partners, brothers, and friends. Well, we'll keep it together cause we're sure we're gonna be big time before it all ends. Just as long as Johnny got his fiddle and Jimmy got his drums along, then Jeffrey and me and Bobby will be singing all our favorite songs. We'll catch a fire from the folks in the front row, fan the flames as the beat gets strong. It's great to be a part of something so good that's lasted so long. Well, it's all a story in a paper. Suddenly the
Wonderful performers. I like blues, Delta blues. Lightning Hopkins, you ever heard of him?
Yep.
Well, Lightning Hopkins I'd go to bed at night and put on a Lightning Hopkins record and go to sleep to Last Night Blues or whatever it was playing. It was so opposite of bluegrass. There was, living in Southern California, there was every kind of music you could think of.
Yeah.
I went to a Dick Dale concert one night with a high school friend
Yep.
before I played music. And Dick Dale was great. I didn't know much other than he was pretty good on that guitar. And
Surf music.
yeah, surf music. And the Beach Boys, Brian
Yeah.
Wilson.
Yeah.
Brian Wilson, what a genius he was. He was creating in his own world, making his own world. Of course, being in Southern California, there was that, people, they ruined the music. The Beatles are great. Brian, and I liked it all. The Byrds were very influential to me.
Yeah.
Okay, good point. I was driving to college one day, still in school. I don't have a group. I'm 19 years old. Turn, Turn comes on the radio. I almost hit a tree. I pulled off. I listened to the radio. I turned it up. I didn't go to school that day. 2 reasons. It was a great record, and the sounds were incredible. And that was one reason, and the song was good. And the other reason was I knew Chris Hillman was in that group, and he was in a group previous to that, called the Scottsville Squirrel Barkers.
Yep.
That was a bluegrass group in San Diego. And he came up to LA. I mean, people knew about these things. Did you hear about that Chris Hillman guy? He came up and got in a group called the Byrds. And he's playing bass with the Byrds and singing on that record. And I thought, if he can do it, anybody can.
Yeah.
Not the disparaging comment about Chris, but Chris is a great friend. Over the years, we've done many shows together. He really got me interested in finding that group, getting a group, getting on the radio. Get on the radio. I used to go when I was a teenager, 14, 15 years old, to the Disneyland Hotel for breakfast with my parents. And I'd say, can I go to the radio station now? There was a radio station in the hotel, and the guy would sit there behind the window. The teletype machine was next to him, bringing in the news. He's there talking about, and now this song is, and here's, it was just fascinating. And to think that he's talking to people, a few people that are listening out driving around, that really, I wanted to be involved in that. And that was an influence. But the early group influence, I would say the Byrds had a huge influence for sure.
Yeah.
But Flat and Shrugs, Jimmy Martin records, they had the influence that made me want to record with them, Doc Watson. And when my brother and I went to the Grand Ole Opry the first time, I was 19 years old. We couldn't get in, it was sold out. It was a hot Saturday, August night. And the guy says, you could go around to the north windows and see the stage. They've got the windows up and open because there's no air conditioning inside. And it's a room with 2,500 people in it. And we went around there, and I said to my brother, Bill, Flatt and Scruggs are on. They just came out on stage. Lester Flatt goes up to the microphone and says, we're going to bring out Mama Maybelle Carter to do the Wildwood Flower. And the place exploded. You would have thought Eddie Van Halen had just met Duane Allman on stage or something. It was just incredible. And Eddie Van Halen and Duane Allman are both people that I knew, and I'm proud to say.
The theme song to the Beverly Hillbillies is one of the greatest. Do you agree?
Yes, that was the thing that got me hot on the banjo. I was trying to figure out what to do with my life. I went in the living room. My parents were watching the Beverly Hillbillies, and I went, what is that? Oh, wow. Yeah, and that really hooked me.
And you ended up playing with him. How great is that?
Well, when I saw him at the Opry with Lester Flatt, I said to my brother, I've got to meet that guy. I've got to meet Maybelle Carter. I got to meet Earl Scruggs. I got to record with him. And he goes, well, good luck with that. He wasn't managing the Dirt Band yet. There wasn't a Dirt Band. There was no group. And I was 19. And we got back to LA. The band happened. I started a group. We got going. And in 1971, I asked Earl Scruggs if he would record with the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. And he said, I'd be proud to. As the time that had gone by from that Grand Ole Opry, seeing them on stage, 19, I was now 23. We'd made 5 albums, and one of them had Bojangles on it. And Earl Scruggs loved Bojangles. He also loved the bluegrass. And when Gary Scruggs took him the Uncle Charlie album, because he heard Bojangles on the radio, and he thought, that's a good group for Daddy. Gary's told me this story many times. He went to buy the single, Mr. Bojangles. They were sold out. He had to buy the album. He didn't get to listen to the album. He took it home. He played Mr. Bojangles for Earl. He goes, that's nice. I like that. And then let's hear something else. And he put on Randy Lynn Rag, which is one of Earl's songs that he wrote. And I ripped on that. I really ripped on it. It was really good. A banjo, and Earl turned to Gary and says, I want to meet that boy. And that really hit me. And he came a few months later. We played Nashville, and the whole Scruggs family showed up. And that's on videotape, also on my website and Facebook.
Tell everyone all your links.
Well, John McEUEN, McEUEN, is what I go by on YouTube because it's my name. And my mother gave me my website name, John McEUEN. Thanks, Mom. It's John, JohnMcEUEN.net. And Facebook, you just put in John McEUEN/music.
Do you know what comes across to me, John? I love the way how you've told the story, but you've made it like you had these aspirations and things just fell into your life. It's like, do you feel you've come full circle and you've achieved, like you're telling your brother, I want to play with Earl Scruggs and I want to do this and I want to do that, and it actually happens? Is that not amazing in your life, what's happening in your whole life, your career?
It amazes me, yes. I am constantly grateful and appreciative of the way that many things have happened. And it just shows, it's an example of pick out what you want to do and go try and do it. I wanted to make a music video. I got a town to give me $85,000 because I was going to make them a new commercial for their town, Deadwood, South Dakota. I used that money to make the music video and the commercial. The commercial won a Silver Star in a film festival in Houston.
And just tell me, please, about your book again and where they can get it from.
My book is
Yes.
called The Life I've Picked, and it's available at johnmceuen.net. You can get them autographed there, or you can get them from Amazon. Autographed is what I'd recommend because that means you're buying them from me. And there's another book called The Making of Will the Circle Be Unbroken? My brother William, who produced and managed the group, also shot photos. Well, the first time Will the Circle Be Unbroken was recorded was in 1915. 1915 in England. It was recorded by a guy named William McEUEN.
Any relation?
No, I didn't find that out till a year ago that was
Unbelievable.
the first recording. And how come my life has gone along with so many good things? And how come I didn't know that when we made the Circle album? My brother never knew it. Anyway,
All I can say is that was meant to be.
it was
Meant to be. The world pays tribute to you, John, and I just want to say it was an honor interviewing you. And you know, you've brought so much happiness to the world through your music, through your banjo playing, through everything you've done in your career. And I just want to give you a big thank you from everyone out there.
well, thank you.